I found my daughter's diary by accident, and what she wrote about her stepfather made me question everything I thought I knew about love and safety. If you've ever thought snooping through someone's diary was a bad idea, wait until you hear what I found in my daughter's. It didn't just break my heart. It shattered everything I believed about my family. My name is Jennifer. I'm 42, divorced, and live in a quiet suburb just outside of Portland, Oregon. I work as a nurse. My life has always been about taking care of others, my patients, my ex-husband, back when he still deserved that title, and most importantly, my daughter Emily. Emily is 17. She's always been the quiet type, the kind of girl who reads more than she speaks. But she's smart, painfully smart, sometimes too smart for her own good. Ever since the divorce, we've been closer than ever, or at least I thought we were. She lives with me full-time. Her father, my ex, moved to another state after we split. Something about needing to find himself. I never asked too many questions. What mattered was that Emily stayed. She was my anchor, my reason to keep going. I remarried 4 years ago. His name is Tom. He's charismatic. Everyone loves him. He's the kind of guy who lights up a room just by walking into it. At first, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. He made me laugh again after years of sadness. He treated Emily with kindness, almost like a second father. I was grateful. But then things started to change. It began small. Emily started locking her bedroom door, which she never used to do. She started flinching when Tom walked into her room. I chalked it up to teenage hormones, mood swings, maybe even resentment for the new man in our lives. After all, teens can be unpredictable. I didn't want to be the overbearing mother who jumped to conclusions. Until one day, I was doing laundry and accidentally knocked over a pile of clothes in her room. Underneath the pile was a small notebook, leather-bound, pages worn, with little flowers drawn in the corners. I knew it was her diary, and I hesitated. My heart pounded in my chest. I shouldn't have read it. I know that, but something in my gut screamed that I had to. And when I opened to the most recent entry, I felt the ground fall out from under me. She wrote, "I can't take it anymore. I don't feel safe in my own house. I wish Mom would see what he's really like when she's not around." Tom. She was writing about Tom. At first, my brain tried to protect me, tried to convince me she was being dramatic. Maybe he yelled at her, maybe they had a disagreement. But as I read further, the entries became darker, more detailed. She described late-night visits to her room, touches that didn't feel fatherly, words that made her skin crawl, and worst of all, the fear, the paralyzing fear that kept her from telling me. I dropped the diary. My hands were shaking. My mouth went dry. My mind raced in a million directions. Was it possible? Could the man I trusted, the man I shared my bed with, be the monster she described? And if so, how long had this been going on under my own roof? I stood there, frozen, staring at the little leather book like it had just exploded in my hands. And then I heard the front door open. I froze, completely. My mind was spiraling, but my body didn't move an inch. Tom's keys jingled as he tossed them into the ceramic bowl by the door, just like he always did. Then his familiar voice called out, "Babe? You home?" I didn't respond. I couldn't. A second later, he appeared at the hallway entrance, cheerful, humming something from the radio, face lit up like a man who had no idea his world was about to shatter. Or maybe he did. That thought alone made my stomach churn. I snapped out of it just long enough to shove the diary under a stack of folded towels. I smiled. A fake, broken, plastic smile. "Hey," I said, somehow steady. just doing laundry. Tom leaned in and kissed my cheek. I wanted to recoil. I didn't. I couldn't. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed beside him, eyes open, heart hollow. Every move he made, the way he adjusted his pillow, the sound of his breathing, felt wrong, foreign, like I was lying next to a stranger. Or worse, something darker wearing the skin of the man I married. The next morning, I dropped Emily off at school like usual, acting as normal as I could. She barely said 2 words to me. Her eyes were tired, distant. I wanted to cry, to hug her, to scream, "Why didn't you tell me?" But how could I, without destroying her trust even more? Back home, I pulled out the diary again. I needed to know everything. My hands trembled as I flipped through the pages. She described specific nights. Tom knocking on her door, just to talk. Sitting on the edge of her bed, too close. Asking questions no stepfather should ask. One entry ended with, "I kept my phone recording under the blanket, just in case." I don't think I can sleep here anymore. I nearly threw up. How had I missed all of this? Was I blind? Or just in denial? My memories began betraying me. I started recalling things. Tiny moments that once seemed innocent, but now screamed warning signs. That time, Emily came downstairs pale and shaky, saying she didn't sleep well. And Tom had made an offhand joke. Maybe she needs a nightlight. Or a good cuddle. I'd laughed. God help me, I'd actually laughed. Or the time he insisted she go shopping with him, just the 2 of us, and she begged me not to make her go. I thought she was just being a brat, so I told her to grow up. And now I couldn't breathe through the guilt. My thoughts spiraled. What had he done? What else had he done? Was it just words, or had it gone further? Too far? And most terrifying of all, was she still in danger? I decided I needed proof. Cold, undeniable, damning evidence. Something I could hold in my hands, present to the police, confront him with. Something that would protect my daughter and destroy him. That's when I remembered. Emily had written about recording something, and I knew exactly where she kept her old phone. I went straight to Emily's room the second Tom left for work. I tried to move quickly but quietly, as if even the house itself might betray me. Every floorboard creaked louder than usual. My fingers fumbled through drawers, beneath her bed, inside the closet, until I spotted the shoebox tucked behind a stack of old notebooks. Inside was her old iPhone, scuffed at the corners, the screen cracked slightly at the top. My hands were clammy as I powered it on. It was dead. Of course. I rushed to plug it in, my legs bouncing with anxiety while I waited for the battery symbol to appear. It took nearly 20 minutes for the thing to boot up, the longest 20 minutes of my life. My thoughts spun like a storm. What if she had deleted it? What if I was too late? What if it was never there at all? When it finally came to life, I opened the voice memos app. There were dozens. My heart skipped. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I clicked the most recent one first. It was dated just a week ago. I hit play. It was quiet at first, a few ambient sounds. Then I heard it. A door opening, footsteps, then Tom's voice. "You awake, Em?" A pause. Silence. Then again. "You know you don't have to tell your mom about our little talks. She's under a lot of stress. Let's not make things harder for her." I stopped breathing. The way he said it, calm, low, almost gentle, made my skin crawl. Like he was trying to make it sound normal, safe, as if gaslighting a teenage girl into silence was some kind of act of compassion. I listened to the entire recording. It didn't capture physical acts, but it didn't have to. The implication was there, thick, poisonous. The manipulation, the power imbalance, her voice barely audible, tense, strained. He knew what he was doing, and I knew what I had to do. But first, I had to talk to her, to Emily. When she got home that afternoon, I was sitting at the kitchen table with the phone in front of me. She walked in, threw her backpack on the chair, and headed toward her room. I called out softly, "Emily? Can we talk?" She stopped. Her shoulders stiffened. I saw the fear in her posture before she even turned around. She sat across from me, eyes guarded, lips pressed in a hard line. I didn't know how to begin, so I just said it. "I found your diary." Her face turned white. "I read it," I continued, voice trembling. "I know, about Tom." For a moment I thought she might bolt from the room, but instead, tears welled up in her eyes and her mouth opened, like she wanted to say something. Anything. But the words were stuck. "I listened to the recording," I added, and that broke her. She sobbed, full body sobs, the kind that make you ache just hearing them. I got up and wrapped my arms around her. She clung to me like she had nothing left to hold on to. "I didn't know how to tell you," she whispered. "I didn't think you'd believe me. He always acts so nice when you're around." My heart shattered again, not just for what she had been through, but because she thought I wouldn't believe her. That was the moment I knew. This was no longer about being subtle, or cautious, or civil. This was about survival, and I was ready to burn it all down to protect my daughter. After Emily cried herself hoarse in my arms, she pulled away slowly, wiping her cheeks with the sleeves of her sweatshirt. Her eyes, though swollen, were clearer than I'd seen in weeks, maybe even months. "Mom," she whispered, "you believe me?" I didn't answer right away. I just looked at her. This fragile, brave soul who had been carrying a secret so heavy it warped her entire existence. And I nodded. "Yes, baby, I believe you. And I'm so sorry." I could see the tiniest bit of relief wash over her face, like a wave brushing against a jagged shore. She wasn't healed, not even close. But she wasn't alone anymore. And that mattered. We talked. For hours. She told me things I wish I could erase from her memory. And mine. How he would knock on her door late at night. How he'd stand too close, say things that made her feel dirty, uncomfortable, afraid. How he once told her, "It's okay if we keep this just between us. You're almost an adult now. You understand things your mom doesn't." Every word she spoke lit a fire inside me. Rage, shame, guilt, fury. They twisted into a knot so tight in my chest I could hardly breathe. I wanted to storm out of the house and tear him apart. I wanted to call the police right then, but Emily stopped me. "I don't want everyone to know," she said. "Not yet, I'm scared, Mom." And I understood. This wasn't about me getting justice on my timeline. This was about her reclaiming control on hers. So I made a plan. The first step, get him out of the house. That night, I told Tom my sister had a medical emergency and I needed to fly out to California for a few days. I asked him to stay with a friend, told him Emily had a school retreat and the house would be empty anyway. He didn't even hesitate. He was more concerned about whether I'd be back in time for his golf weekend. Pig! Once he was gone, I took Emily to a therapist, someone who specialized in trauma and abuse. I wanted her to have someone safe, someone she could talk to without filters, without worrying about how I'd react. Meanwhile, I gathered everything: the diary, the phone. I backed up the recordings, made copies, stored them in the cloud, on a USB, gave one to my best friend under the guise of important legal documents. And then I called a lawyer, I explained the situation, showed the evidence. She didn't blink. Said she'd seen men like him before. Men who walk into families wearing charm like armor, hiding the rot underneath. I asked her if we had a case. She said yes. But then she paused. You need to prepare yourself. If this goes to court, it's going to get ugly. He's going to fight dirty. They always do. I didn't care. I'd spent too long pretending things were okay. Now, I wanted the truth out. I wanted him to feel fear. I wanted him to look at me and know he messed with the wrong mother. But first, I had to look him in the eyes and watch him squirm. So I called him and invited him home for dinner. Dinner was set, candles lit, plates polished. Everything looked normal. Too normal. The kind of normal that makes your skin crawl because it's just a little too quiet, too clean, like the air before a storm. Tom arrived exactly at 7 o'clock, all smiles, holding a bottle of wine like some sitcom husband. Wow, he said, looking around. What's the occasion? I smiled back, tight, rehearsed. Thought we could have a nice dinner, just the two of us. He didn't suspect a thing. Of course he didn't. Men like him never do. They think they're smarter than you. They think they're in control. We sat, ate, talked about meaningless things. The weather, his golf game, the neighbor's new dog. He laughed. I nodded. But the knife in my hand felt heavier than it should have. Halfway through dinner, I excused myself. Went to the living room, came back with the diary, the phone, a printed transcript of the recording. I placed them gently next to his plate. He blinked. What's this? He asked, still chewing. I looked him dead in the eye. Evidence. The room shifted. His smile faltered. He picked up the first page, skimmed the words, then the next. His face went pale. That's not... I cut him off. Don't lie to me. I don't know what she told you, but I read it, Tom. I heard it. Every word, every disgusting, manipulative word, from your own mouth. He reached for the phone, maybe to delete, maybe to smash it. But I was faster. I grabbed it back and stood up. There are copies, I said coldly. Try anything, and the police get every file before you can blink. His mask cracked then. Just for a second. The charm dropped. What replaced it was something else. Darker, meaner, real. You think anyone's going to believe this? He hissed. Your daughter's a messed up teenager. She made it up. You really want to drag your family through this circus? I didn't flinch. You already did. He stood. You're overreacting. No, I said. I was underreacting. For months, maybe years. That stops now. Silence. Then he laughed, low, cruel. So, what's your plan, Jennifer? Turn me in, go public, let everyone know you married a predator and didn't even notice? That one stung, but I didn't let it show. I'd rather be the woman who fixes it late than the one who looks away, forever. He stared at me, eyes narrow, calculating. Then, without another word, he grabbed his jacket and walked out. I didn't follow. I didn't beg. I just stood there, shaking, but standing. And when I heard the door click shut behind him, it felt like the loudest sound in the world. But freedom doesn't come without echoes. The next day, I got a call from a blocked number. No voice, just heavy breathing. That night, Emily found our mailbox ripped open, papers scattered. He was gone, but he wasn't finished. Not yet. For a few days, I tried to pretend we were okay. I cooked dinner, Emily went to school, we laughed at old movies, folded laundry together, even talked about getting a cat. But the silence was a lie. We kept glancing at windows, locking doors twice, jumping when the phone rang. And every night when we three... When the house went quiet, I would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, waiting for the next hit, because I knew it was coming. And then it did. A letter arrived. No return address. Just my name and handwriting I recognized too well. Inside was a single photograph. Me, Emily, and Tom. Taken at the beach 2 summers ago. Smiling, happy, normal. But on the back, scribbled in red ink, were 3 words. You ruined everything. I didn't show Emily, not yet. I couldn't. She was finally starting to breathe again. I wasn't about to let him take that away. Not again. I took the letter to my lawyer. She reported it. We filed a restraining order. She warned me, though, that men like Tom rarely respected paper boundaries, especially when they feel powerless. So I did something drastic. I quit my job, packed up our things, told Emily we were taking a reset trip, and we left. A small town, 4 hours away, a rental cabin I found online. Quiet, surrounded by woods, no neighbors, no reminders. It was supposed to be peace. But peace doesn't come when your past follows you like a shadow. At night, Emily had nightmares. Sometimes she'd scream. Sometimes she'd walk into my room, shaking, just needing to know I was still there. That he wasn't. And me? I wasn't doing much better. I checked every car that drove past the cabin. I slept with a kitchen knife in the nightstand. I stopped answering calls from unknown numbers. We were alive, but we weren't living. One evening, I went out to get groceries. I left Emily at the cabin with a friend on video chat. She insisted she'd be fine. When I came back, the front door was ajar. My heart sank. I crept inside, calling her name. She was safe, just shaken. Nothing seemed stolen, nothing broken. But something felt wrong. Then I saw it. On the kitchen table, a single folded napkin. I opened it. Inside, another photo. This time, it was Emily, alone, sitting on the cabin porch, taken from the woods. The message? I see her. My knees gave out. I dropped to the floor. This wasn't over. This wasn't just harassment. This was hunting. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the couch, clutching the photo, waiting for the sun to rise, waiting for something to feel safe again. But nothing did. Not the locks on the doors, not the heavy flashlight beside me, not the local sheriff's board promise to keep an eye out. Emily tried to be brave. She told me she'd be okay. But I could see the fear in her hands, in the way she kept looking behind her even when no one was there. This wasn't living. So I made a choice. No more hiding. No more waiting for the next knock or the next note or the next pair of eyes in the dark. I would confront him. On my terms. I called Tom. He didn't answer. So I sent a message. Just 6 words. You want to talk? Come alone. I told him the time, the place. A roadside diner halfway between our old house and the cabin. Neutral ground. Public enough to feel safe. Quiet enough to be real. I didn't tell Emily. I left her with a neighbor. I didn't want her anywhere near what was about to happen. When I arrived, he was already there. Same smug look, same overpriced jacket, same fake charm hanging around his shoulders like a cheap perfume. He raised his coffee mug when he saw me. Jennifer, he said, as if this were just a casual lunch. I sat down across from him. You've crossed a line, I said. He smiled. What line? You're the one dragging my name through the mud. You left a photo on my kitchen table. His smile twitched. I don't know what you're talking about. I leaned in. My voice didn't shake. You're a predator, a coward, and a liar. But more than that, you're done. He laughed, actually laughed. You think you can win this, Jen? You think the courts care about some moody teenager and a couple vague recordings? You've got no proof, no bruises, no witnesses. I stared at him, straight into the hollow pit where his soul should have been. I don't need to prove anything to you, I said. I just need to make sure everyone else hears what she went through. And trust me, they will. That's when he leaned back, cold, calculating. You know, you're not as smart as you think. You should have stayed quiet. Now you've made this personal. A chill ran down my spine, but I didn't back down. It was always personal, Tom. You invaded my home, you hurt my daughter, you lost, and I'm going to make sure the whole world knows it. He stood, dropped a crumpled 20 on the table, and looked down at me one last time. This isn't over, he muttered, and then he left. But as I sat there, heart pounding, breath shaky, I didn't feel fear. I felt something else. Resolve. Because he was right about one thing. This wasn't over. But now, it was my turn. After that diner confrontation, I drove back in silence. No music, no thoughts, just the road stretching endlessly ahead, like I was chasing a version of myself I had long left behind. When I walked through the door of the cabin, Emily looked up from the couch, eyes wide. "Where were you?" she asked. I didn't answer. I just held her, tight. Longer than usual, maybe longer than she was comfortable with. But she didn't pull away. I wanted to say something comforting, something strong and motherly and steady. But all I managed was, "We're okay now." I didn't believe it, but she needed to. In the days that followed, nothing big happened. No more letters, no photos, no phone calls, just silence. And sometimes silence is worse, because it leaves space for your mind to replay everything, again and again and again. The way he smiled when he lied, the way Emily shook when she spoke the truth, the weight of guilt, of what I missed, of what I should have known, pressed down on me like a second skin. Some mornings I'd wake up gasping, heart racing, half expecting him to be standing in the doorway. Some nights I'd hear a noise outside and freeze, unable to move, unable to breathe. And through it all, I kept asking myself, did I do enough? Was I too late? Was there more I could have done to protect her? Because even if he never came near us again, he had already left his mark. Not just on Emily, but on me, too. That's the part no one warns you about. Surviving someone like Tom doesn't mean going back to who you were before. There is no before. Only the version of you that crawls out of the wreckage, bloodied, exhausted, different. Emily started asking questions. Big ones. Are we ever going back? Will he go to jail? Will people believe me? And I didn't have answers. I hated that. But what I did say was this: you don't have to be okay right now. You just have to keep going, and I'll be right beside you every step of the way. One night I found her staring at an old family photo, one from before Tom. She didn't cry, she just looked distant, like a part of her had aged 10 years. "I don't even remember what it felt like to feel safe," she whispered. That broke me, not loudly, not with sobs or screams, just quietly, silently, in the kind of way only a mother can understand. When you see your child hurting in a way you can't fix. I tucked that photo away, locked it in a drawer. Some things don't deserve to be on display. Some memories aren't worth framing. Weeks turned into months. We didn't move back. We didn't visit the old neighborhood. We didn't even speak his name anymore. It was like saying it might summon him again, like he was some demon that fed on attention. Emily started writing again, not in a diary. That was too raw, too risky. But in poems, lyrics, little stories she'd leave lying around like breadcrumbs back to herself. I read them sometimes, quietly when she wasn't looking, and I saw pieces of the girl she used to be. Sharp, clever, silly, stitched into the woman she was becoming. Stronger, wiser, scarred, but standing. Me? I was different too. Not broken, not exactly, but reshaped. My idea of motherhood had changed. It wasn't about protecting her from every bad thing anymore. That's impossible. It was about believing her when the world wouldn't. It was about showing her that no matter how ugly things get, she was never alone. One afternoon, she asked me something I wasn't ready for. "Do you think I'll ever trust someone again?" I looked at her, at those tired but beautiful eyes, and said, "I don't know, but I think you'll know how to protect yourself now. And that's something." She nodded, didn't smile, but I saw it, the tiniest flicker of hope. And for now, that was enough. We never heard from Tom again. He didn't go to jail, at least not for this. The legal system, as always, is better at protecting reputations than victims. But the story did get out, quietly, in whispers, in conversations at PTA meetings, in awkward glances from neighbors who never quite knew where to stand. And that was fine by me, because monsters like him don't need headlines. They just need the spotlight pulled away, one whisper at a time. The last thing I'll say is this: if someone you love tells you something unthinkable, believe them. Don't wait. Don't look away. Don't ask them to say it again more clearly, more calmly, more convincingly. Just listen. Because silence is where they get their power. And your belief, that's the first weapon that breaks it. I don't know what tomorrow holds for us. Maybe a cat, maybe a road trip, maybe nothing more than just another quiet breakfast and a day without fear. But for the first time in a long time, that's enough. And if you're listening to this, if you're still here, thank you. Because telling this story, it helped me breathe again. Even if the air still hurts. Not all monsters live under beds. Some smile across dinner tables.